I froze in my own doorway, my heart pounding as I watched Eleanor's designer luggage claim more and more territory in our pristine foyer. Not just any luggage, each piece was a limited edition tech-integrated smart case, their LED status indicators blinking mockingly at me. One bag, then 3, then 7. The pit in my stomach grew with each metallic thud against our carefully chosen bamboo flooring. My name is Victoria, and this was the moment my carefully curated life began to unravel. Darling, where's Bennett? Surely he doesn't expect his own mother to manage these smart luggage pieces herself? Eleanor's voice carried that familiar patronizing tone that set my teeth on edge. She tapped her Apple Watch with manicured precision. These cases need to be synced to your home network. He's still at the office, I managed, forcing a professional smile, the same one I used during difficult marketing presentations. I thought you were staying for the weekend. Eleanor laughed, the sound like Siri delivering bad news. Oh, sweetie, didn't Bennett tell you? After the divorce, I simply can't bear to stay in that empty smart home. I'll be here until I find my footing again. The market for female fintech consultants my age is surprisingly competitive. My chest tightened as I watched her already pulling out her iPad. But now, show me to the master suite, she interrupted, already climbing our stairs, her heels clicking against the wood like keyboard strokes. I'll need to set up my workstation. The master suite? But that's our Victoria, dear, she turned, her perfectly manicured hand gripping the banister, her fitness tracker glinting. I managed a 7-figure investment portfolio and raised Bennett in a fully automated smart mansion. I simply cannot be expected to sleep in a guest room like some visiting intern. I'm still the queen of this digital domain. I followed her upstairs, protests dying in my throat, as she flung open our bedroom door, the space Bennett and I had spent months perfecting. From the smart curtains that responded to our circadian rhythms to the premium air purifier that kept our allergies at bay. Perfect, she declared, already opening our walk-in closet's smart organization system. Bennett can migrate your belongings to the guest room this evening. I'll need to reconfigure these smart hangers to my preferences. My phone buzzed with a notification. Bennett, Mom mentioned staying with us, right? Crazy day at the office, these startup mergers are intense. Love you. I gripped my phone so hard I thought the screen protector might crack. Eleanor, we didn't discuss, oh, look at this antiquated system. She was already tapping through our closet's interface. Basic motion sensors? No humidity control? No wonder Bennett's suits always look so wrinkled. I'll have my smart wardrobe management system delivered tomorrow. The app on my phone pinged as she began removing my clothes from the digital inventory. Hazel, I texted my best friend with trembling fingers, code red. Need wine and tech support now. I'll need to upgrade your smart home hub too, Eleanor continued, oblivious to my mounting horror as she pulled out her tablet. This, she gestured vaguely at our carefully calibrated home automation system, is a bit entry-level, don't you think? The doorbell camera notification chimed, and I nearly sprinted downstairs. Hazel stood there holding 2 bottles of red wine and wearing her time to hack the Matrix expression. I came as fast as I could, she whispered, following me to the kitchen. What's the emergency? Before I could answer, Eleanor's voice floated down through our home's intercom system. Victoria, be a dear and bring up some tea, Earl Grey, 2 sugars, splash of oat milk. I've already added my preferences to your smart kitchen's database. Hazel's eyes widened as she noticed our home's status panel blinking with new user permissions. Is that? I nodded, uncorking the first bottle with unnecessary force. What's she doing here? Moving in, apparently, I hissed, pouring a generous glass. She's currently reprogramming my entire house because she's still the queen of this digital domain. Oh, hell no. Hazel grabbed the second glass, her UX designer instincts clearly triggered. Please tell me Bennett didn't authorize these system changes. Bennett didn't even tell me until after she arrived. I pulled up his message. He texted me like it was nothing, like, "Hey honey, my mother's moving in, taking administrative control of our smart home, and apparently I'm sleeping in the guest room now. Love you. Victoria." Eleanor's voice echoed through every smart speaker in the house. That tea isn't showing up on my beverage tracking app. I shouted back, my voice honey sweet even as I knocked back half my wine. Hazel grabbed my arm, her eyes fixed on the kitchen's control panel where Eleanor's user profile was steadily gaining more permissions. "You're not actually going to let her stay, are you?" she whispered, already pulling up the house's security protocols on her phone. I stared at the ceiling, where I could hear Eleanor's expensive heels clicking back and forth as she reorganized our entire home automation system. "Of course not," I whispered, a plan already forming in my mind. "But sometimes you have to play the long game. You have to let the queen think she's won before you can force a system reset." Victoria. The tea. My wellness app shows my hydration levels dropping. I poured hot water over a tea bag, adding exactly 2 sugars and precisely the right amount of oat milk, watching our smart kitchen log each ingredient. As I carried it upstairs, I saw my clothes being systematically removed from the closet's inventory, designer labels and Target finds equally dismissed. "Your tea, Eleanor," I said, setting it beside her on my nightstand. She didn't look up from her tablet, where she was reconfiguring our home's entire interface. "Thank you, dear. Oh, and we'll need to discuss the kitchen tomorrow. The organization algorithm is terribly inefficient. I can help you optimize it properly." I smiled, tight-lipped. "Of course. Whatever you think is best." Back in the kitchen, Hazel was already pouring me another glass while discreetly running a security scan on our network. "So, what's the plan?" I took a long sip, remembering the property documents and admin passwords stored securely in my cloud drive, the ones that listed me as the sole owner of our house and its systems. The ones Eleanor knew nothing about. "The plan," I said quietly, "is to let her think she's won, for now." Hazel clinked her glass against mine. "Long live the queen of the smart home." I smiled, but this time it reached my eyes. Not for long. 2 weeks into Eleanor's digital reign, I found myself hiding in my own pantry, clutching my phone like a lifeline, the only space not yet equipped with her surveillance cameras. She reprogrammed my entire kitchen inventory system, I whispered to Hazel through my AirPods. "Who categorizes spices by molecular compound instead of cuisine type? Human should be tagged with Mexican and Indian, not organic compounds." "That's what broke you? The spice categorization?" Hazel's laugh crackled through the encrypted line. "No. What broke me was finding her deleting my grandmother's digital recipe collection from the family cloud because it was cluttering the server space. I had to restore it from backup. The kitchen's motion sensors detected movement outside. I held my breath. "Victoria?" Eleanor's voice rang out through the nearest smart speaker. "Why is your location showing as unavailable? Are you interfering with the house's tracking system again?" I emerged from the pantry, phone behind my back. "Just doing a manual inventory check." "Oh, good." She pulled out her tablet, displaying a complex spreadsheet. "I've created a new AI-driven cleaning schedule. I noticed the air quality sensors are showing higher than optimal dust particle levels." I stared at the color-coded algorithms and automated task assignments. "I work full-time, Eleanor. I'm managing 3 major marketing campaigns." "Well, yes, dear, but surely you can oversee basic home optimization." When Bennett was growing up, I maintained a perfect smart home while managing billion-dollar portfolios. The front door's facial recognition system chimed, and Bennett's voice called out, "I'm home." Eleanor's face lit up as her smartwatch pinged. "There's my boy." She rushed to greet him, leaving her tablet on the counter like a ticking time bomb. I followed slowly, watching their reunion, the same one they performed every evening as if they hadn't seen each other in years instead of hours. "Mom, something smells amazing," Bennett said, kissing her cheek as the kitchen's aroma diffusers adjusted automatically. "Just a little cocoa vin." I noticed Victoria's attempt at French cuisine received rather low ratings from the smart oven's cooking analysis. I cleared my throat. "Actually, Bennett, can we talk privately?" I glanced meaningfully at the nearest smart speaker. He followed me to our new bedroom, the guest room that still felt temporary, like a beta test we couldn't exit. I pulled out my phone and activated the signal jammer Hazel had given me. "What's up?" he asked, loosening his tie while eyeing the new security cameras his mother had installed. "Your mother deleted my grandmother's entire digital recipe archive today. I'm sure she was just trying to optimize the storage space. She's reconfigured every smart device, changed all our automation routines, and now she's created an AI cleaning schedule that would challenge a robotics lab." Bennett sat on the bed, now equipped with Eleanor's chosen sleep tracking system. "She's just trying to help, Vic. She's going through a tough time with the divorce. The tech industry can be brutal at her age." "And what about what I'm going through?" My voice cracked. "This is our home, Bennett. Our system. Not her personal testing environment." Eleanor's voice came through every speaker, overriding my signal jammer. "Dinner is ready. I've synchronized the dining room ambience with my premium mood enhancement algorithm." Bennett stood, straightening his tie again. "Let's just get through dinner. We can talk more later." But we didn't talk more later. We never did. At dinner, I pushed perfectly cooked chicken around my plate while Eleanor regaled us with stories of Bennett's childhood, each one punctuated by notifications from her endless array of smart devices. "Remember that summer in Silicon Valley when you won the junior coding competition?" Bennett nodded, mouth full of wine-braised vegetables. "He was always such a natural with technology," she told me, as if I hadn't been working in digital marketing for the past decade. I knew he'd be successful in tech. Mother's intuition, backed by predictive analytics, of course. My phone buzzed under the table. A message from Hazel. "Found something in your archived notifications. Old email from Piper." I excused myself, ignoring Eleanor's comment about device usage during her perfectly calibrated dining experience, and retreated to the bathroom, the one room where I'd managed to secretly disable her surveillance system. The email was buried deep in my cloud storage, Piper's words as sharp as the day she sent them 5 years ago. "Dear Victoria, I know we haven't spoken since Mom's passing, but I need to warn you about Eleanor. She did the same thing to me and Jason when we bought our first smart home, moved in after her temporary career setback, took over everything. By the time we realized what was happening, she had complete control of our home systems and our marriage was in shambles. Don't let her digitally colonize your life like she did ours. Love, Piper." I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, hearing Eleanor's voice float up through the house's intercom system as she lectured about proper smart home protocol. 5 years ago, I'd thought Piper was being dramatic about her mother-in-law. Now I understood. Back at the table, Eleanor was serving her crème brûlée, the kitchen's AI proudly announcing its perfect temperature and consistency. "I'll teach you how to properly calibrate the smart oven's dessert settings someday, Victoria. It's really not as complex as your cooking history suggests." I smiled, encrypting Piper's email securely on my phone. That would be lovely, Eleanor. But my mind was already racing. If Eleanor had done this before, there had to be a way to stop her, and my sister-in-law might just be the key to regaining control. Under the table, I typed a quick message to a number I hadn't used in years. Piper, it's Victoria. You were right about everything. Can we talk? Secure channel only. The response came almost immediately, finally. I've been monitoring her digital footprints since she left us. When and where? I'll bring my network analysis tools. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt hope stirring. Eleanor might be playing chess with our smart home, but she didn't know I had just found my white hat hacker queen. The coffee shop was 15 miles from my house, far enough that Eleanor's location tracking would only show me in a generic out-of-range status. I spotted Piper immediately, her copper hair unchanged, her laptop decorated with security certification stickers. You look exactly the same, she said, pulling back from our embrace to study my face. Just more tired. That's what digital surveillance does to you, I replied, noting the dark circles under her eyes. Looks like the real estate tech sector isn't much kinder. She gestured to a corner table, strategically positioned away from security cameras. Over locally roasted lattes, I detailed the past 3 weeks, the smart home takeover, the system reconfigurations, the AI-driven cleaning schedules. Piper nodded along, occasionally wincing as she ran diagnostics on her laptop. God, it's like watching a replay of my network logs, she said. Did she do the thing where she accidentally corrupted your favorite photos in the cloud? Last week, my entire wedding album. And the passive-aggressive wellness notifications? Yesterday, she had the kitchen AI alert Bennett about my concerning caffeine intake levels. Piper reached across the table, gripping my hand. Listen carefully, Vic. This isn't about helping a divorced woman restart her tech career. It's about control. She did the exact same thing to Jason and me, started with the master bedroom's environmental controls, then reprogrammed our lives until we forgot what normal system settings felt like. How long did she maintain admin access? Piper's knuckles went white around her cup. 18 months. By the end, Jason and I were sleeping in different rooms, our sleep tracking data used as ammunition in every argument. He couldn't understand why I couldn't just accept his mother's system optimizations. Sound familiar? My phone buzzed, a notification from Eleanor through our Homes app. Noticed your location data is inconsistent. Kitchen AI preparing Bennett's favorite quiche for dinner. Should I add you to the meal plan? She monitors my movements now, I said, showing Piper the message. Of course she does. Next, she'll start inviting Bennett's single female colleagues from the tech sector to dinner. Let me guess, some young programmer named Rachel? I nearly choked on my coffee. She did that last night. A UX designer named Rachel. Because nothing motivates a daughter-in-law like a little Silicon Valley competition. Piper pulled out her tablet, scrolling through data logs. But here's what Eleanor doesn't know. I documented everything. Every unauthorized system access, every modification timestamp, every digital footprint from when she commandeered our smart home. I even tracked her financial algorithms' interference with our accounts. How did you finally regain control? We got lucky. The house's smart systems were registered in my name because Jason's credit score was flagged by the AI. When we finally grew spines, we had a cybersecurity lawyer draft up digital access revocation papers. She paused. Who owns your system admin rights? I do. For network security purposes. A slow smile spread across Piper's face. Then you have options. I'm sending you my lawyer's contact, Tucker Armstrong. He specializes in smart home custody cases. But Bennett will be devastated. Yeah. Jason didn't speak to me for weeks. But ask yourself this: would you rather have a few weeks of digital detox or years of watching your marriage dissolve under Eleanor's algorithms? My phone buzzed again. Eleanor also noticed the bathroom's moisture sensors indicating mold risk. I've scheduled a smart ventilation upgrade. Don't worry about the cost. I've already synced my premium credit card with your home improvement app. She's upgrading our bathroom systems without authorization, I said flatly. Of course she is. Piper pulled out her laptop. Start documenting everything. Every unauthorized access attempt, every system modification, every automated charge. Tucker will need a complete digital trail. I feel like I'm plotting a cyber coup. You are. But it's your smart home, Vic. Your digital territory. She squeezed my hand. And unlike me, you caught it early. You still have a chance to save your home network and your marriage. Another notification from Eleanor. The smart home contractors need admin access at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I've used your stored payment credentials for the deposit. Hope that's okay. I showed Piper the message, my hands shaking with anger. And there's your digital smoking gun, she said, already dialing a number. Tucker? It's Piper. Remember my sister-in-law I mentioned? She's ready to talk. Bringing receipts, digital and financial. As Piper arranged the meeting, I stared at my phone, watching the stream of notifications from Eleanor detailing all the ways she was optimizing my life through our home systems. Each alert felt like another firewall between Bennett and me. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., Piper announced, ending the call. Tucker will show you exactly how to regain control of your systems. What if the reset fails? It won't. Because this time you have something I didn't. What's that? Me. Piper's smile was fierce as she pulled up Eleanor's digital footprint. And I've been waiting 5 years to see Eleanor's admin privileges finally get revoked. My phone buzzed one final time. Bennett, Mom says your location data is glitching. Everything okay? You've been acting strange lately. I looked at Piper, at the determination in her eyes, and typed back, everything's about to be reconfigured. Ready to overthrow a digital queen? Piper asked, closing her laptop. I gathered my things, feeling stronger than I had in weeks. It's time to take back my smart home. Tucker Armstrong's office was a perfect blend of traditional law practice and modern tech, with smart displays showing real-time case analytics. He studied the digital evidence I'd brought, property deeds, system logs, unauthorized access records, and screenshots of Eleanor's improvements to my home network. Well, he said, leaning back in his chair while his tablet processed the data, this is actually simpler than I expected. Simple? I shifted in my seat, watching the analysis running across his screens. Nothing about this feels simple. From a legal tech perspective, it is. He tapped through my property documentation. The smart home system is registered solely in your name. Your mother-in-law has no legal right to access admin controls or make unauthorized system modifications, let alone process charges through your secured payment platforms. Tucker pulled up a digital spreadsheet. Let's talk numbers. How much has she spent on unauthorized smart home upgrades? I shared my payment logs. His eyebrows shot up. $122,000 on intelligent bathroom remodeling? The existing moisture control systems were suboptimal. And these equipment orders? New smart furniture? She donated our old pieces to a tech recycling center? Tucker's fingers flew across his keyboard. Without your authentication? She said it was a surprise upgrade? A surprise that cost $8,000? He shook his head. Mrs. Bennett, This isn't just system intrusion, it's digital financial abuse. The word abuse hit me like a crashed program. I didn't want to cause conflicts in our network. That's exactly what she's counting on. He pulled up another file. Your sister-in-law's case was similar, but you have something she didn't: clear documentation of unauthorized system access and financial misconduct. My phone pinged with another notification. Eleanor, the contractors found compatibility issues with the existing smart systems, adding another $5,000 to the upgrade. Don't worry, I've already processed the payment. I showed Tucker the message. He immediately pulled up a digital form on his tablet. That's it. We're filing today. He started populating fields. First, we'll revoke all her system permissions. Then, we'll issue a formal digital access termination notice, giving her 30 days to disconnect from your home network. 30 days? My stomach churned. I have to live with her monitoring my every move for another month? Unfortunately, yes. But we'll implement immediate restrictions regarding any further system modifications or financial transactions. He slid his tablet across his desk. Digital signature here and here. My hand hovered over the screen. What about Bennett? Your husband's feelings are valid, but they don't override your digital property rights. This is your smart home, your data, and your life being systematically compromised. I pressed my finger to the biometric scanner. Tucker nodded approvingly. I'll have these filed within the hour. Expect the official notification to hit her devices by tomorrow morning. She'll try to override this. Let her try. He sent me his encrypted contact details. Document everything from here on out: every system access, every command entry, every unauthorized transaction. If she attempts to escalate, we'll be ready. Back in my car, I called Piper. It's done, I said. I filed the digital eviction. How do you feel? Terrified. Relieved. Guilty. I gripped the steering wheel. How did Bennett take it when you and Jason? He didn't speak to me for 3 months. Called me heartless, cruel, technologically paranoid. Piper paused. But you know what? Years later, after their divorce, Jason told me he wished he'd listened to me sooner about his mother's digital manipulation. My phone chimed with another notification. Bennett this time. Mom says you missed the smart home upgrade consultation. Everything okay? Your behavioral analytics are showing unusual patterns lately. I can't keep deceiving him, I told Piper. Then don't. Tell him tonight, before the system notifications arrive. Give him a chance to process it privately. I started the car, resolve strengthening. Will you stay online? I'll keep my emergency channel open. You've got this, Vivek. Remember, you're the true admin here. Driving home, I rehearsed my explanation, but all my carefully planned scripts evaporated when I walked in to find Eleanor directing contractors to uninstall my grandmother's vintage smart display, the one piece of tech that had emotional value beyond its functionality. Oh, good, you're home, she chirped. I hope you don't mind, but since we're already upgrading, I thought we should modernize the Master Suite's interface too. Bennett's workspace should match mine, don't you think? I stared at the contractors dismantling our carefully curated smart home setup, at the payment confirmation flashing on my phone, at this woman who'd taken over my digital life bit by binary bit. Actually, Eleanor, I said, my voice steady, I do mind. I mind very much. She blinked, that practiced confusion crossing her face. But darling, stop the installation, I told the contractors. Now. Victoria. Eleanor's voice rose as her smartwatch flashed red. Don't be ridiculous. Bennett will be home in exactly 18 minutes according to his GPS. I think it's time we all had a talk about system optimization. I pulled out my phone and texted Bennett, "Come straight home. We need to talk. All of us. No remote access." His reply was immediate, "On my way." "Everything okay with the network?" I watched Eleanor directing the confused contractors to continue the installation, already accessing her conflict resolution algorithms. "No," I typed back, "but it will be." Bennett's biometric scan at the front door felt like a system crash waiting to happen. I stood in our partially dismantled smart home setup, contractors frozen mid-installation, Eleanor's face a mask of calculated concern. "What's going on?" Bennett asked, taking in the scene. "Mom said something about system upgrades." "Your wife is having some sort of technical breakdown," Eleanor said, reaching for his arm while checking her device stats. "She's trying to halt the improvements I'm implementing for us." "Improvements?" I pulled up my phone's logs. "Let's talk about improvements, Eleanor. $12,000 for the guest bath automation, $8,000 for smart furniture, and now this," I gestured at the destruction around us, "another $15,000 charged to my secured account without authentication?" Bennett's face paled. "Mom? Darling, I was only trying to help. This system needed updating, and Victoria clearly doesn't have the technical expertise to what?" I interrupted. "To manage my own smart home? To control my own accounts?" "Our home," Bennett said quietly. "Our network." Actually, I took a deep breath, legally, it's not. The system is registered in my name. The payment protocols she's been bypassing are in my name. Eleanor's perfectly maintained smile tightened. "Bennett, sweetie, perhaps we should discuss this on a private channel. Victoria's clearly experiencing some technical, clearly done being hacked," I finished. "Gentlemen," I addressed the contractors, "please terminate installation. This upgrade is unauthorized. You can't do that." Eleanor stepped forward, her devices frantically syncing. "Bennett, tell her she can't do that." But Bennett was staring at the transaction logs I'd displayed on our main screen. $35,000 in unauthorized system modifications, Mom? What were you thinking? "I was thinking about your future. This smart home was barely functional when I arrived. We loved this home," I said. "Every customized, personally configured inch of it, until you arrived and decided to rewrite it in your own code." "Bennett," Eleanor's voice wavered as her vitals spiked on her wellness tracker, "surely you can see I was only trying to help, to give you the kind of advanced home system you deserve. By erasing my grandmother's digital legacy?" I pointed to the vintage display, now partially disconnected. "By deleting my archived data? By overriding our master access and pushing us into guest permissions?" "I deserve full admin access," I cut in. "You deserve nothing. This isn't your system. These aren't your permissions to grant." Bennett picked up a digital invoice. "Mom, did you really recycle our original smart furniture without asking?" "It was outdated." "It was our first major tech investment together," he said. "We spent months optimizing it. I replaced it with superior technology. With my authentication credentials," I added, "without my authorization." The contractors shifted uncomfortably, tablets in hand. "Ma'am, should we proceed with the installation or initiate rollback?" "The upgrade is cancelled," I repeated. "Bennett." Eleanor protested, but Bennett was still scrolling through the logs. "AI consultant fees. Automated landscaping contracts. Mom, this is digital invasion." "What's insane," Eleanor drew herself up, her devices blinking in distress, "is how ungrateful you both are after all the optimizations I've implemented." "Optimizations?" I laughed. You mean like inviting Rachel from Bennett's dev team to dinner, trying to make me feel obsolete? Reprogramming our home without our consent? Bennett's head snapped up. You invited Rachel? She's a brilliant young programmer. She's my colleague, Amam, and I'm married to someone who clearly doesn't appreciate. Stop. Bennett's voice was firm. Just stop the protocols. Silence fell. Even the contractor's tablets seemed to quiet. Gentlemen, Bennett addressed them, thank you for your time, but we won't be requiring your services. They couldn't disconnect from our network fast enough. Bennett, Eleanor tried again, her smartwatch displaying elevated stress levels. Let's approach this logically. Logically? I pulled out my tablet. Okay, let's be logical. This is a digital access termination notice. You have 30 days to disconnect from our network. The color drained from Eleanor's face as her devices registered the notification. You wouldn't dare disable my access. I already have. The termination protocols will activate officially tomorrow. Bennett, she turned to him, her wellness tracker beeping with rising blood pressure. Are you going to let her cut off your mother's connection? Bennett looked from the transaction logs to the dismantled smart displays to his mother's face. What choice have you left us? But I'm your system administrator. And I'm his wife, I said quietly, and this is my network. 30 days, Eleanor. She drew herself up, her devices flashing warning signals. You'll regret this reset. Both of you. As she stormed upstairs, her heels clicking like keyboard strokes, Bennett sank onto the edge of our half-dismantled interface station. I had no idea, he whispered. About any of it. I sat beside him amid the disrupted system cables. I know. What do we do now? From upstairs came the sound of furious typing, drawers slamming. Now, I said, taking his hand, we reclaim our home. One system at a time. He squeezed my fingers. Starting with the master protocols. I smiled, hearing Eleanor's muffled commands through the ceiling. Starting with our protocols. The first week after serving the digital access termination notice felt like managing a system under constant attack. Eleanor alternated between radio silence and data floods, while Bennett struggled to maintain his emotional bandwidth through it all. She's your mother, I said one morning, watching him stare into his smart brewed coffee. You're allowed to feel conflicted about the permissions reset. She charged $35,000 to your secured accounts, Vic, he rubbed his face. Who breaches security protocols like that? A notification pinged upstairs, followed by another burst of system alerts. Someone who's never faced authentication failure, I answered. The doorbell's facial recognition pinged. We both tensed. We'd grown to dread unexpected visitors since Eleanor had started inviting random neighbors over to witness her digital exile. But it was Hazel, bearing breakfast burritos and tech support. Thought you might need backup, she said, setting down the food. I saw Eleanor at Starbucks this morning, telling everyone who'd connect about her cruel daughter-in-law. Wonderful, I muttered. What's the damage to our social graph? She tried to convince the barista you're holding her in a tech-free zone. Hazel unwrapped a burrito. But most people seemed more interested in their morning coffee than her network drama. Bennett's phone buzzed. His face fell as he read the message. Mom's sister wants to remote in, he said. Says I need to see reason before it's too late. Too late for what? I asked. According to this, too late to save my data from my hack-happy wife. Hazel choked on her burrito. Hack-happy? You literally run security protocols for half your clients. Facts don't compute anymore, I said. We're off her approved script, and Eleanor's rewriting the narrative. More notifications pinged overhead. Then Eleanor appeared in the doorway, her devices perfectly synced despite the early hour. "Oh," she said, voice dripping with digital disdain, "company. Would you like to share your breakfast analytics? Want a burrito?" Hazel offered, maintaining her user-friendly interface. "I don't consume unmonitored calories." Eleanor turned to Bennett. "Darling, did you receive Carol's emergency broadcast? Your aunt is very concerned about your system integrity." "Mom," Bennett's voice was tired, "please don't network the whole family into this." "But they're already connected. Everyone's discussing how your wife is forcing me offline." "You have 3 smart homes," I pointed out. "That's not the parameter." Eleanor's voice rose. "The point is administrative access. Family protocols. You clearly know nothing about system values, like requesting authentication before spending thousands on unauthorized upgrades." "I was optimizing your environment." "No," Bennett stood suddenly, "you were controlling it. Like you always have." Eleanor stepped back, her biometrics spiking. "Bennett. After everything I've configured for you, configured?" Bennett laughed, a harsh sound. "You're hijacking our home network, spending our resources, trying to fragment my marriage's connectivity. That's not configuration, that's malware." Hazel quietly began packing up her devices. "I should disconnect." "No, stay." Eleanor sneered. "Watch how this ungrateful user treats his primary administrator, the woman who coded his first programs, who's only trying to optimize his life." "Stop the script." Bennett shot back. The room fell silent. Even Eleanor's devices seemed stunned by his outburst. "You don't mean that," she whispered. "Don't I? You accessed our system without permission, took over our primary interface, spent money we'd saved for upgrading our family protocols on modifications we never authorized, family protocols." Eleanor latched onto the words. "You're planning to expand your network?" I felt the blood drain from my face. We hadn't told anyone about the fertility treatment funds we'd been saving. "The money you spent," Bennett continued, voice shaking, "was for IVF procedures." Hazel's tablet slipped from her hands. Eleanor's perfect interface couldn't hide her system shock. "Why didn't you share that data?" "Because it wasn't in your access permissions." Bennett exploded. "Not everything in my life needs your administrative oversight or input. I'm your root user. And I'm a grown developer with a wife I love and a system you're trying to overclock." Eleanor's lips trembled as her devices flickered. "I see. Well, if that's how you want to configure this." She straightened her shoulders. "I'll be migrating to Carol's network until this unfortunate system error is resolved." She swept upstairs, leaving behind the heavy weight of corrupted protocols. Bennett slumped back into his chair. "I'm sorry," he said to me. "About the IVF funds. We'll rebuild our savings buffer." I took his hand across the table. "We'll rewrite the code." Hazel stood quietly. "I'll log out. Ping if you need backup." After she left, Bennett and I sat in silence, listening to Eleanor's aggressive packing protocols execute upstairs. "She'll try to reconnect," I said finally. "I know." He squeezed my hand. "But this time, we've got better firewalls." A suitcase thumped down the stairs, followed by Eleanor's deliberate footsteps. 23 days left," I whispered. Bennett nodded, and we held on to each other as the front door slammed, marking the beginning of the next phase in our battle for digital independence. The system logs showed Eleanor's temporary disconnect at 2:47 p.m. For the first time in weeks, our home network was quiet. The doorbell chimed as I finished recalibrating our home's interface settings, restoring the vintage smart display that had once belonged to my grandmother, the one piece of tech we'd managed to protect from Eleanor's system purge. Coming, I called, checking my network status. Behind me, our master suite looked exactly as Bennett and I had configured it, a perfect blend of both our protocols, without a trace of Eleanor's optimizations. Hazel stood at the door, holding a bottle of champagne. Ready for a proper system reboot? Almost. Just waiting for, I'm here. Piper called, jogging up the front walk. Sorry, traffic disrupted my ETA. We settled in the living room, our living room, with our original smart furniture restored to its proper configurations. The smart dining set we'd invested in had been recovered from the tech recycling center, reinstalled in its rightful place. Hazel activated the champagne protocols. Have you told them yet? I touched the encrypted file in my local storage. Waiting for the right moment. Tell us what? Piper accepted a glass while running a routine system check. The front door's biometrics registered Bennett's arrival with our usual takeout order. Ladies, he nodded, heading for the kitchen. Bennett. I called. Stay, please. He paused, reading something in my voice. Everything okay? I pulled up the secure file. Remember our appointment last week? The fertility clinic's encryption was clearly visible. Bennett's eyes widened. Vic. Open it, his hands trembled as he decrypted the file. Hazel and Piper held their breath. Positive, he whispered. The protocol worked. I nodded, tears spilling. We're expanding our network.